Hello and welcome to the Powerboost meditation. Today, let us experiment with the theme, the power to ignore. The power to ignore. One of the very important powers on the spiritual journey is the power to ignore. To ignore what is not important. To ignore what is not important for the soul. Just like we receive so many emails and we have an inbox and we have a spam folder, whatever is not important, we just move it to the spam folder and we don't look at it also. In the same way, the path of spirituality, it's important to realize what is not important for my spiritual journey and just to move it to the spam folder, to ignore it, so that my thoughts can easily be focused on what is important, what is relevant, what is needed for the soul to progress. To ignore someone's weaknesses, to ignore thoughts about others, to ignore thoughts about the past, to ignore. It's not ignoring a person or ignoring a situation, but it's ignoring the thoughts that consume a lot of my time and energy. And a very easy way to ignore is when I realize what is really important for me and what is not. When I realize what is important for the soul is very different from what is important for the role. When I decouple the two, I decouple the soul and the role, then I realize that I just carry with me whatever is important. It's like this realization of who I am, who do I belong to, where have I come from, in order to naturally stay on this, in this consciousness. I need to be able to ignore a lot of side scenes. Just like when we go on a journey, the destination is what really matters, and the road on which we are traveling. We see a lot of other things as side scenes, but not a lot of attention goes there because we know it is not important. So in the same way, is not to get into others' stories too much, not to get into others' characters too much, and not to even go into the insecurities of the role that I, the soul, am playing too much. So this power to ignore, it really allows me to stay true to myself in a very natural way. And then the mind doesn't lose focus. Not a lot of energy is wasted, depleted. And it's very easy to then focus my thoughts on the truth and on the divine. It's ignoring is by default, a very natural thing that we all do. When the consciousness is completely filled with the role, then often, and in our pursuit of material advancement, we have often ignored the soul. And so ignoring is something which is very natural to us. It's just to realize what is it that I want to ignore. And so throughout the day, when I rewind my story throughout the day, I realize that what is it that I'm carrying with me? What is it that I'm taking with me? And what is not important, whatever, someone said this, that, the drama, the stories, it's very important not to carry, not to create that story within. So let us spend a few minutes exploring and experiencing the power to ignore. As we sit comfortably and relax ourselves, we realize that there is a dimension of the role and there is a dimension of the soul. Both are different. And I realize that often I mix up the two, and I often carry thoughts of expansion, thoughts of anxiety or insecurity about the role inside myself. And it is these thoughts that need to be ignored because they are not important in my spiritual journey, in my spiritual experience. As I take time to just sift through my thoughts, I just drop the thoughts about the story, around the story. I just ignore for some time anything else but the truth. The truth of who I am as a being of light, an actor who's wearing the mask of this role. I drop this mask for a few minutes. And so everything around the mask is not important for I, the soul, the actor. I go within and experience myself in my truth, in my true form as a being of light, in my true experience, that of peace, in my true home, the dimension of silence. I ignore the entire story, just focusing on myself and my relationship with the divine. Everything else is not important and can be easily ignored. I drop the story completely. Making myself available to be in the company of the one who is the most important, the source, the divine, the one to whom I, the soul, belong eternally. I experience being in the company of the divine. In this experience, everything else melts away. The only one that occupies my mind, my heart, my being is the one, the divine. I allow myself to go into the depths of silence, into the depths of being myself. I realize that staying in this truth is the most important experience to carry with me. Stay in the essence. I let go of the entire story, allowing myself to be loved by the divine. Stay here in my reality with my family of lights. I have the power to come here to experience the truth. And to become an embodiment of experience. I ignore the unimportant and stay focused on myself and the divine. Now, very gently, as I, the soul, return back into the role world As I take up, wear the mask, I realize that this role, this mask is just for enjoyment. I carry within myself the experience of truth. I know what to ignore, how to ignore, in order to stay focused on the path of truth. Om Shanti. Thank you.